Hi everyone, welcome to the Nesan podcast. And for those of you who, of course, I'm getting a phone call.
That's the first blooper. That is the first blooper on this reel.
So
Literally
funny.
in the first 10
What are the
seconds.
chances? Hi Snare, you can keep recording. Yeah. Yes, you can. Go ahead. That's fine. Yeah. Thank you. Cool. All right. Thanks very much. Cool. Bye. I was just the guy's doing my shower. Just wanted it to be signed. So that is going to be in the next episode of the podcast. Who does Nesan's bathrooms? Cool. Can we go? Hi everyone, welcome to the Nesan podcast. To all my devoted listeners who've been following over the last few years and who have been largely disappointed over the last year about how infrequently I've done these. It's primarily because I wanted to move across to this format, just so we could make it more interactive, get great guests on the show, and just really evolve the podcast to the next level. So I am particularly excited today to have in studio a really good friend of mine. I keep bumping into him in the really strangest of places. Exceptionally talented guy, just an absolute gentleman as well, and an absolute superstar in the world of magic. So ladies and gentlemen, put your virtual hands together for Mr. Mo Magic.
Nesan, thank you for that kind introduction.
I should do them for all your shows, huh?
Hey?
I should do them for all your shows.
You should, I should maybe consider having you do my voiceover for when I walk on stage. But it's a joy to be with you.
Yeah. In fact, on the way here today, I was thinking that, hey, we bumped into each other at this camp. We passed each other on the promenade.
We're running.
We were running past each other.
Yeah.
You were going significantly faster than me. And I think that the universe was pointing us towards doing this. As my first video podcast guest, it's really awesome. And you've been doing some big stuff, man. You've been working on this project. You showed me this little video just now, and it looks amazing. So where do you want to start?
Well, I'm glad that we're finally able to do this. Yeah. You've extended an invite to me a few years ago for
You RSVP long. Turnaround time.
So that's something we can get into in terms of energy management, time management, and working on commitments. Yeah. But I just recently finished a huge project. So I've got some time in the diary. And I recall you reached out and the timing was right. So I'm really glad that we were able to do this. And my intention today is not just to have a catch up with you on camera, but really to share some of my perspective on life, on a few different things, work, contribution, the value we're able to give people, the experience we want to create. And I do have a few hidden surprises.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Sounds both scary and exciting at the same time. So Mo and I were catching up on coffee a little bit earlier, and we were talking about how a lot of my guests come, they're notable people, and they speak about what they do. But like what I think people are most interested in is like, who's the man behind the magic? So you've got big stuff happening right now, but let's go way back. Let's go back to 10-year-old Mo. All right? What did he want to do? And is it even close to who Mo is now?
Wow, talk about a rock solid question.
Get straight into it
to kick it off. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing a few things on this podcast that I haven't shared previously. Usually, and over the years, I've been interviewed for the magic, and I've kept it sort of like on a very, how can I say it? I want to say safe level, but over the years, my emotional well-being, I'm more secure in myself and allowing myself to be more vulnerable. So a lot of people don't know this, but when I was 3, my dad passed away. Oh, wow. So my sister was 2 and my brother was 11. So my mom had the challenge of taking care of 3 kids. So growing up, I really didn't know my place in the world. And as a kid, I wanted to be the sort of good kid, always wanting to be well behaved, but I didn't really have a solid foundation in terms of guidance, in terms of growing up as a kid. My mom did an incredible job raising us as kids, whilst at the same time being a breadwinner. So growing up, I was in this position where it wasn't the easiest of times, and I questioned a lot of things, and I didn't know who I was supposed to be. So when you say, who was 10-year-old Mo?
Yeah.
10-year-old Mo was a person who had a lot of mixed emotions, didn't know his place. Not that a 10-year-old should know their place, or maybe they do now, I don't know. But until my schooling career, so even at school, I did the best I could, got school awards, prefect in primary school, awards in high school. I used to be a big talker, and I think that helps a lot in terms of the type of work and contribution I make with regards to my work. Acting in plays in high school, head prefect. But all through those stages, on the surface, there was this person who sort of had this facade of that everything was fine, but inside, I was still trying to figure out my place, find my place. So I don't know if that answers your question, or you want me to continue?
No, I think we can keep going because it's fascinating, Mo, because I also lost my dad at a really young age. And I think where I completely resonate with the lack of identity. Because when you don't have a father figure in some level, you're kind of adrift. You're left to the world to figure it out. There may be male role models on the outside of the family or friends or whatever it is, but you never really are able to anchor what is my place in the world. And you don't have like a litmus or a barometer to say, hey, am I doing the right thing here, Dad? Like, what? Don't know exactly where I'm going with this. And for your mom to be doing that, I mean, that's almost an underappreciated thing across the community, and how much Indian women and moms carry.
Yeah.
That's a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah, that's very true. As I said, she's our superhero. So going through that on the surface, wanting to be the person that others thought I was, the goody two shoes, to be the best I could. And I think for somebody who doesn't know much, emotionally at that time, and not having the support of a father figure, it was the best I could do, and I was very thankful. But throughout my schooling career, I knew that there was something else out there. I knew that there was something missing, and I was always fascinated with personal development. And I'm very thankful that my elder brother, he's 9 years my senior, he went to varsity, he studied psychology, and then he started doing personal development classes. And from a young age in high school, I started getting involved in this. And even when I went to university, I studied engineering. I loved science and technology as a kid. In fact, growing up, I think many people, again, many men in our generation, one of their favorite movies is Back to the Future.
Absolutely.
The science. Still. It is a classic.
Can't be
and
Marty.
Yeah. Doc. So at that point, engineering seemed the natural progression for me, because I love science and technology. I love physics. And I studied engineering at university, electronic engineering. But in my third year, I began, questioning a lot. I was thinking to myself, is this what I really wanted to do? There were parts of me that enjoyed engineering, but there was something else there that always knew at the back of my mind that I was meant for more, that there was something different.
So up until this point, magic had never shown up on the radar.
So interestingly enough, my elder brother would love doing card tricks.
Okay.
When we were
This
younger.
wasn't funny or anything.
No. He would love. So occasionally he'd show us a card trick, or he'd do a trick, and he used to watch David Copperfield as a kid on television, and I had no interest in it. I think I learned throughout my entire schooling career. I learned maybe 1 or 2 card tricks, and I did it for like a week or 2, and that was it. And when at that point in my third year, I was attending his personal development classes. So in the week at university, if you know engineering students, we hardly have any time. We'd always joke with our BCom friends to say that things were easier for them.
I saw them on the first day of campus, and then many years later. That's kind of how it went.
So on the weekends, personal development classes, and there I learned many important things. But I think the one thing that stands out to me till this day is it doesn't matter where you are or what has happened. What's important is the quality of life you choose to have for yourself going forward.
Yeah.
And quality of life doesn't necessarily mean when I get the car, when I get the job. It's a conscious decision that you can make for yourself. And, happiness is really I mean, I'm 42 now, and I've come to understand that happiness is an inside job.
Yeah.
It really doesn't
So
matter
that's
what's happening on the outside. As long as on the inside, I'm happy with myself, I'm content. And I think one of the hardest things I had to get over is not loving myself. We create such difficult standards for ourselves based on what we see other people or perceived perceptions of other people that we feel we're not good enough. And something that has taken me a long time to work through is letting go of what people think about me and trusting myself, believing in myself, and allowing me to move forward, to live my life, and to enjoy it. But when I make mistakes, to learn from them.
So isn't it even more difficult to be easy on yourself and not judge yourself by others see you when you're in the public spotlight and you've chosen this as a profession to say, hey, this is me, I'm out here, this is what I'm doing? Doesn't that make it even more difficult? Because I wouldn't say ordinary people, and the people who aren't in the business or to that degree, they face criticism, friends, family, colleagues, that kind of thing. Yours is everybody. It could come from anywhere. How do you deal with that? And have you ever gotten something that's really been like gut-wrenchingly like, oh, I wish that Facebook comment wasn't there? And how did you respond?
Good question. I think you're spot on with regards to that. A lot of people in this industry will tell you you have to develop a thick skin. For me, I feel that life and the experiences how do I say this? I think you hit the nail on the head. For me, however, I always believe that my outer reality is created by my inner reality. So basically, how I feel and what I believe will be reflected into my outer world. So there was a time, a good few years ago, I put a little video up on YouTube and somebody made a mean comment. It was a silly little video that was shot on a camera, sort of like impromptu thing. And somebody commented to say, oh, so unprofessional, and it grated me. I was like, why is this person being like this? Why are they being mean? And then Nesan, it's interesting because I always believe that the universe is a guiding universe. That we in here, it's not just that we're going to go through life and we're going to die and that's it. I believe that, for me personally, that I'm on a journey. I'm on a spiritual journey. My soul is on a journey. And the experiences I have in this life can either work towards my soul's growth or otherwise. So I don't think you expected a deep conversation like this.
Loving it. I just wish we had something stronger than coffee.
Yeah. So for me, that reflected a time in my life where I was very much concerned about what people thought about me. And when I reflect, that for me was the universe, aka a higher power, aka God, aka the divine, the process of life, giving me an opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
Because for the 2 weeks that I stressed myself out, one night, after about 2 weeks, and I remember this as if it was like last week, I'm laying on my bed, reading a book just before bed. It was about 11:30. My phone was next to me, and the phone beeps. I see a friend. He says, SLMZ, salams, peace be upon you. And I thought to myself, why is he messaging so late? And then the next message comes up, sorry to call you so late, or message you so late. Just thought I should let you know that our mutual friend so-and-so passed away.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
And in that moment, I was in shock. Processing the news, I opened the message. I phoned him to get the information. I put the phone down, and I was emotional. the next morning I woke up and I thought to myself, here I am stressing about what somebody who doesn't know me thinks about me, and somebody in my life has lost their life. Talk about perspective.
And that's for real. I mean, the
And that's-
comments.
yeah,
But this is for real. Like when that
yeah, I
happens,
mean,
you
like
know?
my friend is no more. He leaves a wife, and it just made me realize perspective. What is really important? So now when I look at, like for example, on social media, a lot of people just want to chirp in on comments. I don't put much interest. I will read a comment. Those people on my Instagram, Facebook, my social media platforms who make time to comment,
Yeah.
with sincere comments, I will respond to.
Yeah.
If somebody is, just, and it's interesting, when you let go of the need for people's approval, they seem to trouble you less.
You get it. You get the approval. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, and that, because I believe as
So
well.
it's almost like that stability and that security projects
Yeah,
itself out
and
in
as
what
you
you
know,
do.
I speak about the internal reflected on the outside,
Yes,
the
yeah.
external world. There's another saying that what you resist will persist. So if you keep resisting people and what they say, the universe will keep showing you situations where you're resisting it until you let go of it. So I hope that answers your question
I
about.
think it really does, and it gives
about
me.
that. So now maybe just to close that off, if somebody says something about me, I'll let it be. I don't feel the need to justify my perspective, especially if somebody doesn't know me, because right now we all see social media posts. If you look at the nature of social media, even news outlets are clickbaity on their captions
Yeah.
to get you to click. When you read the article, there was nothing of value in it. So if you just take what somebody says as the truth, then I have to ask you, where are your standards?
Yeah.
How do you quantify what's real? So for now, the space I'm at, and I keep my circle small. And we can talk about that in terms of energy and maximum use of time and value that one wants to create. Because I recently got married, so
Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. Now I'm blushing.
You should be getting that.
And that's an important part of my life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to continually nurture that, the relationship with my partner, the relationship with our families. So there's time that is required for that. So that means there's less time for other things
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
in my day, so to speak. So it's about understanding where value comes from and where I want to give value.
Isn't that? I mean, I find that so fascinating. Mo. So there's a lot to unpack there, but I'm going to start with this family stuff, and putting your energy there. Don't you find as you get older, you kind of just like realize like, oh, everything I've been looking for has been around me this whole time, but we still want to go outside and we come back and it's like literally within like a kilometer radius of everything I'm doing. It's all here.
I 100%. And I think it has a lot to do with how we are shaped when we're starting off, whether we're starting our work career,
Yeah.
whether we're starting. So, for example, in my 20s, when I began the magic as a hobby, I only began the art of magic at university. So
was this the third year you were talking about?
Yes,
when you
in
had
third
this
year. Yeah,
epiphany?
yeah. So when my brother taught me that life insight, I literally had this epiphany, and I spoke to the universe. I spoke to the divine. I spoke to God in my prayer, and I said, "I'm ready. Please show me what's mine,
Yeah.
what I can do, where I can be happy."
Wow, that's special. So you literally invoked.
I
You said,
put
hey,
that out. I
give it to me, I'm ready.
I put
Yeah.
that out. And a short while thereafter, I was sitting with my best friend, and we run regularly on the beach together, and we use that as a time to catch up but also keep fit. But that friendship now has been over 20 years.
Wow.
And we were sitting at his apartment. We were working on our design project, and he said, "Mo, put the kettle on. I'll put the kettle on while you put the telly on." So Nesan, I put the telly on and I saw American magician David Blaine performing his street magic show.
Yeah.
Now I'd seen that same show 3 years prior and had dismissed it as camera tricks.
Okay.
But that night, something inside of me shifted.
Yeah.
I could feel it here in my solar plexus,
Yeah.
my heart center. I knew there and then, this is what I wanted to do. I had no idea where it would take me.
Yeah.
I literally had no idea where it would take me, but I knew I wanted to do it. And it started as a hobby. The next day I phoned my brother. I said, those kiddies magic books you had, where are they? I'm coming over to your place on the weekend. I went, studied, went through them, and then I saw they were beginner.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be like what I saw on TV and stuff. So I just started consuming this.
It's like saw people in half like immediately.
Not really, but I just wanted to learn, and I just absorbed like a sponge. I took in as much as I could, and it grew from a hobby to a part-time income. I was literally getting paid to do gigs on the weekend.
How quickly did that happen, though? I mean, because this is quite a mind shift. I mean, you're an engineering guy. You've heard of magic. Obviously, you've seen magic stuff, and then suddenly you're like, oh, this is for me. So how did you reconcile that, not just to yourself, but to friends and family? Say, hey, yeah, I'm doing engineering. I kind of do magic on the weekends if you guys need anyone.
So it really, when I really knew that there was something there, my friend Zahir and I, we would go and play pool.
Yeah.
So one day we were on the pool table, and I said, Zahir, I've been working on this new illusion. Check it out.
Yeah.
And I'm performing, and before I know it, I look up, and everybody in the pool hall is standing around the table, at the pool table.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And then I finished, and everybody just burst out in spontaneous reactions and applause. And
This is on campus, yeah?
Yeah, during campus.
The ref.
No, it wasn't at Ref. It
Yeah.
used to be. There used to be this place called Q's, fairly new, fairly close by.
Yeah.
Q's pool hall, and I remember going home that evening. My family were around the table, and I just told them, "You'll never believe what happened," and that, was the first time where I said, "Hey, there's something here," and then I would just perform for friends and family. And I still remember the first gig I did. Somebody paid me to do a private party. I still remember, 150 Rand. 150 Rand.
See them try and get you that for now.
And I was doing close-up magic. And for me at the time, it was just a thing, just to say, hey, I love doing this. Hey, I'm getting $150. Hey, I can buy a couple of packs of cards, with this. And it just grew and grew and grew.
I love the story because we're both motivational guys. We watch all this stuff, and you always hear about how they say your gift makes room for you. It makes room for you. Once you acknowledge it, it just opens up the way, and you don't know why, and you don't know how, but you know that this is the thing for me. Mm-hmm. And you found it at such a young age.
Well, I'm thankful. I'm thankful because when I would be in these personal development classes at the age of 21, I'd have people there in their 40s and 50s, and I didn't really take stock of it until later on, where they would look at me and say, wow, at such a young age, you're sitting here questioning your life. We in our 40s and 50s. And in retrospect, I'm actually glad that those people were there at that age, because some people go through their entire life not being self-aware.
Yeah, and I think that's a tragedy. I mean, I don't mind. I don't know about you, but I don't mind bad things or tragic things happening. Ideally, I'd like to avoid them. But if on the other side you come out knowing more and being different, that's the rub of life, isn't it? It's just.
But you're saying bad things. I have come to understand, if we reframe bad things into what can I learn here?
Yeah.
You're never really losing. You're always learning.
And that's such a poignant thing. I actually heard it in a show once. I don't know if you've ever watched Ted Lasso. And this is not an Apple TV plug. Maybe someday.
I've heard a lot about it. I have yet to watch it.
It's the most feel-good thing in the world. And he's having this conflict with a colleague. And he just goes up to him. And it's just his way of approaching things. It's amazing. It's like, what do I need to learn here? And you're just reiterating that as well. Because if you change that, then you're like, okay, I'm going to get something out of this. It's not just going to be pain. It's not just going to be difficult. But there's something for me there. And like you're saying, it's reframing the mindset. I loved what you spoke about happiness and how you're starting to almost be happy with yourself.
I know.
Almost.
I am very happy.
Okay.
I am content.
It wasn't always like that.
No,
though, right? I
it
can't
had
imagine.
a lot of
Yeah.
work, a lot
Yeah.
of work, and it's this is the rub of social media, so to speak, because social media, people put on a perception of who they are.
Yeah.
Life is going well. Look at me today. I'm advertising this item. Tomorrow I'm advertising that
Hi,
item.
guys.
So maybe we're stereotyping that
Yeah.
a little bit, but for me, a lot of it is showing a perception. And I find that a lot of people out there, I mean, if I were to tell you, take out just your phone and just scroll on Instagram, almost every second or third post is a video where somebody's trying to tell you or influence you to do something.
Yeah.
And I've shied away from these type of podcasts and interviews for a long time because I thought to myself, firstly, who am I to tell you what to do? And then what would people say? Remember?
Yeah, of course.
And that's
Yeah.
something that I've had to work through. So now I'm at a point in my life to say, if what I share with you adds value, wonderful. If it doesn't,
Cool.
that's good too.
Yeah.
So from that 10-year-old who didn't know who I was, to now being a 42-year-old man.
Which is hard to believe, firstly, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Audience agrees.
We'll talk about that.
We're gonna get to that
We'll
point.
get to that, right? We'll get to that. But somebody who is really loving life,
Yeah.
somebody who's thankful for each day.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm living on cloud nine because, again, I'm learning.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm learning, I'm growing. And I came across something recently that if I were to speak to 30-year-old Mo or Mohammed,
Yeah.
where at 30 I was trying to prove my worth to clients. This is what I can do. This is the value I can add to you. Or to prove my worth to the media, to prove my worth to audiences. Now I've come to understand the journey is the destination
Yeah.
and the process is the point. So now I'm not attached to the outcome of what people think about me or of where I think I should be in my career. Because I also believe that comparison is a thief of joy.
Yeah.
So when I look at Nesan and I look at Nesan and go like, oh, look at these muscles and look, I don't have that.
Stop But yeah, I get you.
Then I'm looking at what I don't have versus what I see you have.
It's also skewing what you think you want.
Exactly. But also, if I come from a position of gratitude and acknowledgement of what I have, then I'm in a better place. So there's a few things to unpack there. But when I look at myself now, a lot of my work is corporate. So I will be booked. And I started off as with magic, as an entertainer. But now a client will come to me and say, we'd love you to MC an event and entertain. So I meet with them, I plan in my quote, I tell them what I'm able to offer. Initially, years ago, I would be contacted when they wanted a magician.
To fill in half an hour slot or something like
Yes,
that.
and
yeah.
then I would say, oh, I'm competing. If there's another magician out there, then, what if they compete on price? What if they go for the cheaper one? Now, as I've moved along, if you're to look at it in terms of choice for client, they don't say, when I need a magician, I need Mo. They said, when I need an MC who can deliver, who can I get?
Yeah.
And they come to me. And one of the things that I add is the entertainment value. So it's the
Yes.
magic, it's the mentalism, it's the comedy, it's the presentation, and I love being on stage. So when I look at it from who am I competing with, I'm putting myself in a box. But now when I look at what is the value I want to give my clients, what is the experience I want to share with them, then I say, this is who I am, this is what I offer you. And there's no attachment. There is no attachment to, will I get this gig?
Yeah.
Won't I get this gig? And that is a big, big mind shift. Because again, I'm not looking at, I'm competing with this person and that person.
Yeah.
This is who I am. If the journey is the destination and the process is the point, you made a comment off camera earlier about how easy I make things look. People don't have the true knowledge about how much of work goes in behind the scenes. So for example, when I'm on stage as an MC and entertainer, that morning, I do a minimum 30-minute workout. I do 20 minutes of vocal warm-ups in the morning.
Okay.
And at the event, I'm there at least an hour and a half to 2 hours before people arrive.
Yeah.
I'm running through setup. I check my sound. If there's anything on visual, I sit with the client, I run through. And this is even after a planning meeting.
Yeah.
So it's not just, Mo, you booked as an MC, come in, speak, and go.
It's what I've always actually admired about the events that I've been at, where either we've hired you or I've witnessed it, is your attention to detail. You're very meticulous, and you're always composed.
Thank
Like,
you.
you know everything that's going on, even the organizers don't know. And I think there was an important business nugget there, where you talked about not competing anymore, because you changed what you offered. And so the value proposition is different now. Because they're not just saying, oh, magic for magic. They're like, oh, this is a whole thing here, compared to just a gig artist kind of thing.
Yes. And
Was that a conscious decision? By the way?
Yes.
Okay.
So a few years ago, I came across a principle called the Blue Ocean Principle. Familiar with the Blue Ocean
I think
Principle?
I've heard about it before.
So it came out of a Harvard Business Review article and eventually went into a book. But basically, the idea is, if you and I compete, but we're both selling water to an existing market, there's a lot of people offering the same thing to the same market.
Right.
So what's going to happen there? We are either going to be in a situation where people say it's the same thing, or they perceive it as the same thing, and then they look at you and say, we'll either go for the cheaper product, or we go, this water tastes better. It costs more, we're going to go there. So I said, let me see. I'm only being booked when at the start of my career, because magic in South Africa, for me when I started, was fairly new. My understanding of it, before I got into it, I never saw a magician.
Yeah,
And
I don't think any of us growing up. We had clowns at the parties.
there you go.
That was different.
And I've got a few friends who do phenomenal work
Yeah.
as magical entertainers for kids.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And that's what I saw. Or there would be somebody who would perform at a spa or at a restaurant, and they would, when the families would come in and they would do tricks, and a lot of people thought, hey, it's for kids, which is an interesting point, because when I got into this, for about 2 to 2.5 years, I actually performed at a restaurant whilst I worked as an engineer.
Oh, wow. I didn't know this. Is there any footage?
Wait. There is plenty footage, but let's come back to that, right?
Yeah,
So let's talk about...
You're saying the Blue Ocean strategy.
the Blue Ocean strategy. So I said, okay, what am I good at? How can I be different?
Yeah.
So I saw at events, people were hiring an MC and hiring me as an entertainer. And then I said, hey, I can do that.
You're one of the few people who can transition.
Because from the time I was a kid, I was in school plays, I was a speaker, I used to go on leadership courses in school. At university, I was the SRC rep for the engineering class, head prefect. And I said, okay, good. And then when I started doing it, some clients would say, hey, it's wonderful to have you do
the whole
both.
thing. Yeah.
Then I said, okay, how can I grow? And one of my mentors in the entertainment industry is Imran Vega.
I remember.
Remember him? From Eastern Mosaic.
Yeah.
Now, when I was growing up, on a Sunday, I think this was like in high school, Eastern Mosaic was an institution in
100%.
an Indian
It was
household.
the only thing we had for us on TV at the time. If
Yes,
I remember correctly.
exactly. So my mom would watch this religiously, and I would watch, because I used to look at Imran and I would say, he is the epitome of class when it comes to a presenter. He would dress well, he would speak well, and he'd have such a confidence. And I thought to myself, I said, wow, there's something about this person. And little did I know that a few years later, when I got into this field of magic, I would be invited as a guest onto Eastern Mosaic.
Look at that.
And as I learned my magic. And as I learned to be an MC, I kept looking at how to improve. So there's this concept of 1% better. You might have seen it or hear it.
Live by it.
So
That's it.
slow growth.
Yeah.
So, and this is a challenge with this social media economy and this economy where people say, we want it now.
Yeah.
Sometimes we feel entitled, or people feel entitled. I need to have it now. You can have it now.
I mean, you do a quick Google search for abs or six pack. It's always got to be quick and fast.
There.
Why does it have to be quick and fast? You got to earn everything.
Yes.
Right?
So
then it stays.
yes. So now, when people, and even now, when I look at when I submit a quote, in the back of my mind, I know that this has been 21 years of continuous growth from the time I started this entertainment, or this magical entertainment. So for me, it is all about a long game. So when I went onto Eastern Mosaic, I met Imran and we connected. We shared a stage together here in Durban. And I told him that I found him an inspiration, and he was very kind to keep in touch. So I would share with him, like send him emails, and he would respond. And I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And we became friends. We still are friends. And over the years, as I've grown, and even before I had my first major 13-part major TV series, I spoke to him, and he gave me a lot of insight into the next phase of my career with regards to the fact that because of this publicity and this level of fame that would come, what would come with it. So he helped ground me. And I think having mentors or reliable mentors who have a track record of, walking their talk is very important.
And who've been there to a degree, yeah.
Over the years as well, I've looked up to other magicians. David Copperfield is somebody who, when you think of the word magic, most people, if you're an adult, would say the word magic and David Copperfield in the same
Synonymous,
sentence.
Yeah, he was big time
Yes.
superstar magician, the
Yes.
first one,
Yes.
to my recollection.
I think in the 80s, in our age group, yes. In the 70s, there was somebody called Doug Henning. It was obviously before our time. And late 90s, 2000s, David Blaine. And it's interesting because I honestly believe when the student is ready, the master will appear. And now that's a Zen proverb. Another way that I look at it is when you set an intention, I honestly believe that the universe will send you guidance. It's only if you are open to receiving it will you see it.
That's the key, isn't it? You can get in your own way.
Yeah. So that night when I saw that Street Magic special, I was ready, and the master at that time appeared. For me, seeing that show was the right thing to set me on this trajectory. Then, a few years later, I used to subscribe to International Magic magazine. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be amazing if I could have the same consultants or people who advise David Copperfield? And I set that intention out. Interestingly enough, 2 or 3 months later, David Copperfield's lead advisor or consultant was doing a podcast. And I was like, oh, wow, I'll have to listen to this. And he shared advice that he gave from working with David Copperfield. And I was like, whoa, this is
I asked
amazing.
for this.
Yeah. And then that same magic magazine or journal that I had subscribed to, there was a lady who had consulted with David Copperfield for his world tour. And she had signed up with this journal to do for a year of helping magicians. So that they said, submit a tape and I will critique it and I will help you.
Yeah.
And I was like,
This is like hand delivered for you.
it's like that. So we've got a mutual friend, Doc.
Yeah.
So I told Doc, I said, Doc, I'm opening a show for a comedian.
Hell of a funny guy, huh?
Yeah. I said, I'm opening a show for a comedian. Are you around? He says, yes. I said, please, I'm going to give you my little handy cam. I want you to sit in the audience. I'm doing 10 to 12 minutes. I want you to record this act.
Handy cam days, huh?
Handy cam day. I still have the handy cam. Maybe I should put it on.
Put there, yeah.
Put it here.
Yeah.
And, mini DV tapes.
Yeah.
Doc recorded this for me. I couriered this to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
3 months later, that article made it into the International Magic magazine. And pictures, screenshots.
Wow.
She gives me advice. She tells me about how I can improve. And for me, that was like one of the biggest
That's the
things.
stuff, man. That's what you want.
That is the stuff.
From
And
here all the way full circle.
yeah, and then it's just been a thing of continuous growth. I mean, for me, it's not about how people will perceive me or how silly I will look. Like another friend of mine keeps telling me, record your shows. Look back at the shows. And I find so much value in that. And one of the things that I do, this is something that I learned when I worked as an engineer, because I did work as an engineer, 6.5 years as a graduate trainee, project manager, and customer manager in the automotive industry. And I used to work for Toyota South Africa for those 6.5 years. And Toyota is an incredible company to work with because they learned a lot from the Japanese. Now, the Japanese, at the end of the Second World War, there was a gentleman by, I think, Charles Deming, or his surname is Deming. He went to Japan, and in terms of after the challenges there to rebuild the economy, he taught them what's called the Deming cycle. So, which is basically PDCA. Have you heard that
No, I
acronym?
haven't. No.
Plan, do, check, act. So it's a very simple thing. A lot of times, so for example, you go to, looking at coffee here. Sometimes you go to a place and you order something and it's not quite right. PDCA, plan, do, check, act. So you plan to do something. So you plan it, you do the thing, you check your action to see if it was done right and the outcome, and then you act if something is not done properly, or act to improve on it. So whenever I do an event, I go home or to the hotel if I'm traveling, and I call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. Just something fun for me. I look at that event and I say, let's look at all the good. Because again, with everything, start with things to be happy about, grateful about, because that just sets a good energy. And I honestly believe that the energy you put out in the world is the energy that's reflected back to you. So I do a debrief. What went really well? What could be improved on? And was there something that just came out of nowhere that we can look at? So for example, I'm on stage. We come back from, for example, starters, and now I'm on stage, and I'm about to announce somebody, and a waiter walks through the room to deliver an order. The waiter drops something. All the focus is on that. I've lost the connection with the audience. So the first time I saw this was where I was as a guest at an event. And for me, that was a learning. So what I would do, for example, is if we start the program, I set the scene, I create some excitement, and then we break for starters, I have a system in place that a certain time before, I make an announcement to say, ladies and gentlemen, we trust you're enjoying your starters. A kind note to let you know that we'll resume in the next 10 minutes. If you would like to take a comfort break, this is the perfect time to do so. A kind note to all service ambassadors to start winding up. And then 5 minutes before, make sure that the catering staff know all the waiters will be pulled back.
And that minor adjustment changes the experience.
Changes the experience. And some people see me as a magician. Most people see me, when they hear Mo Magic, they think of me as a magician, or they've seen something on television. But my corporate clients and my private clients who I MC for know the value I create. I'm an MC and entertainer. And for me, whether I'm MCing, whether I'm performing magic or the comedy or the mentalism on stage, it's really all about the connection. The connection you want to have and the experience you want to give. So that the good, the bad, the ugly for me is a means of looking at things and that 1% better, slowly optimizing and growing. And that also helped me create certain checklists. So for example, before an event, checklists to make sure that's okay, that's okay, that's okay, so that we can save time, save energy, and get this show on the, and I say show with respect, because whether you're a corporate event or private event,
It's a show.
it's a show.
Show.
It's a production.
Yeah. So more, I find that very interesting, this good, bad, and ugly thing, where you're constantly in a state of revision, revisiting what you've done correctly or haven't done, just all with the goal of getting that little margin better every time. And by the end of a period, you're just like, oh, I'm a different person now. But isn't that a lost thing nowadays? Like, I find people just want to put things out and just hope it lands, and it didn't work, try something else. Where the real success lies in just dissecting that and saying, okay, I'm into this, and I actually need to work at it. So even though it's something you love and it's your calling, it's still work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that you mentioned that. And again, I think I agree with you. A lot of people are into the instant hits. Again, we're in this time now where people speak about the dopamine rush.
Yeah.
And we want that little rush. We want that, the feeling of when we see the when we see the emoji on our social media post. And, a lot has been spoken about this, about how these social media companies pay neuroscientists to engineer this for us to keep coming back to these platforms and engaging with them. And I feel like where we're at now, people and things are vying for our attention. Attention is the most valuable commodity now.
I fully agree with that. I think Gary Vee said attention is currency.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, attention is currency. We're
So-
all trading, we're day trading attention.
Yes, and now people are trying to just pull your focus, pull your attention.
Yeah.
And I've had to remind myself of this. I mean, I read a book a few years ago called Essentialism. And it's subtitled The Disciplined Pursuit of Less. And I
like that so much.
it is the book
Yeah.
I most often gift to people.
Right.
I most often give to people who want to make a change in their life for the better and who show their commitment. Because there's a lot of people who say, I want to do this, but they're not willing to put the time, the energy, the effort in. And over there's a certain thing, when you spend certain time with somebody, you get to know how sincere a person is, or if they're ready for this next step or not.
Yeah.
So my 13-part primetime TV series had hit SABC3. I think this was 2016. It did phenomenally well. This was a dream of mine to do, and we did it on a shoestring budget. Little did I know that the show, in 13 short episodes, became the second most watched show on the premium SABC, the national broadcaster channel, in just 13 short weeks. The only show that had more viewers was the soapy Isadingo, which had been an institution for about 20 years.
Hard to beat Isadingo, isn't it?
And that blew my mind. I mean, figuratively, I was like, what?
Yeah.
This little show did that? And
on its first run.
With the success of the show, I started getting more and more invitations to events, launches, press, that all these type of social events. And at that time, and at that age, I was of the opinion that these events are going to help promote my brand, my business. And when I read, what led me to this book was I found that I was trying to get work done, creative work done, but I was not getting anywhere. And again, when the student is ready, or when you put that intention out, you'll get feedback and you'll get guidance. I was listening to a podcast because, again, personal growth is very important to me, and every day I spend some amount of time learning. And I heard a podcast where it was Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss was talking about how he, at that level, manages his time and his energy, and about the power of no, and about how to say no, because at that level, he keeps getting offered requests, and he has to say no. And sometimes it's hard for him to say no. And he speaks about the book Essentialism, and about how in that chapter, it gives you a way to say no and why to say no. And I was like, whoa, I need this. I read the book, and the book was just exactly what I needed, because in the book he says, do you feel you are trying to make progress in different areas of your life, but you're not getting anywhere? And I was like, hey, you're speaking to me, dude.
That's me, buddy.
You're speaking to me. And basically, essentialism, in a nutshell, and I hope I don't do this description a disservice, or essentialism in a nutshell, and I hope I give my understanding of it justice to what it actually means. But basically, it's about understanding what is the most important contribution you want to make, and designing your environment, your time, your energy, your space around that to give your best for that maximum contribution.
Correct.
So, for example, up until now, my maximum contribution has been, how can I show up for my clients and ensure that I give them an experience that they will remember, and that they will say in next year, how are we going to top this? In fact, just recently I did a golf day where I've done it for the 3rd or 4th year running. And every time they come back to me, I say, oh, I'm flattered, but maybe we should get somebody else. And they're like, no, we want you. You are the man for this. And there's a few other events, for year-end events now, that have come in. It's repeat clients.
Yeah.
Now, I have the luxury I've got a wide repertoire of illusions that I've created, and this project that I shared with you beforehand, for the last year and a half, I've been creating, performing, recording a whole lot of new magic. So I've got that now to bring in.
Yeah.
But it's understanding what your maximum contribution is, saying no to everything that's not really value adding, and designing your environment, your space, keeping your mind, your body active. So, for example, I told you I do the vocal warm-ups, I do the exercise, and for me, that's part of giving my maximum output. So, some people say I'm a magician, some say I'm an entertainer. I say this with respect. I see myself as an elite performer. So I ask myself, what do I have to do to make sure
Stay at that level.
that when I'm there on a stage, whether I'm there for a stage for 200 and I think I posted a picture of me in action on a stage in front of 900 people at the Santon Convention Center. It's on my Instagram post, just there in my element, just having fun. It's to understand that's the outcome. That's what I want to do. Everything needs to feed into that.
It's like reverse engineering the end product.
Yes. Again, you
Say,
begin.
what do I need to do
Yes,
to be that?
that's the experience.
Yeah.
So that is why. So I will rarely go for launches or things that are not linked to what I want to do. So if it's a movie that I want to see, and that an invite comes in, I will say yes. Otherwise, it's a respectful no.
Yeah.
Because I understand energy is limited, time is limited. How do you want to do that? So, for example, sleep. And we spoke about this when we bumped into each other at Diskim. Sleep, supplementation, vitality. These are important things.
And it affects every single area around it. I loved what you said in this answer, where it was like, sometimes, and I found this a lot, is that it's actually, if you're trying to figure out things around you, the things around you don't need to change. Actually, you need to change. And then you start. Then you're ready to approach the things around you. But I like this elite performer thing, because you've been dubbed the James Bond of magic, right? I think that is the perfect moniker for you. I've never seen more magic with a strand of hair out of place. Even running on the promenade.
I had a cap on, I think.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
But on that as well, I mean, apart from this brand that you created, number one, was it a deliberate effort? Because I feel like it does align with who you are. It does. You are that kind of guy. You're meticulous. You're well-groomed. You take care of yourself. You present yourself in that way. And is that the reason why it's been you've got this brand now that's breaking into the international market?
So, interestingly enough, that James Bond of magic, I was doing an event in Cape Town many years ago, and one of my colleagues in the audience came up after, and he said, you were on this lineup with all these performers, but you, my man, are the James Bond of magic. And the media got wind of this, and they dubbed me that. and it's sort of stuck.
Sounds right. Yeah.
Uh, I haven't thought about it for a long time, but I think the who that I am now, you speak about being meticulous. It's just who I am. I want to make sure, and I don't do it from an obsessive compulsive perspective. I do it from striving for excellence. I'm going to come back to this. The process, the journey is the destination. The process is the point. So for me, growing, tweaking, spending time, growing my skills, developing it, and seeing the outcome make an impact is wonderful for me. Between you and I, if I had to see things differently, I might look at things from a perspective of like, oh, my career should have been that far forward at this point in life, or I deserve to be here, or I deserve to be there. I'm at that place in my life where I'm just enjoying the process.
Yeah.
And I've got this healthy expectancy and anticipation for the best is yet to come.
Yeah. And that's a lovely place to be, because you're so focused on the work, and then you wake up one day and you're actually where you wanted to be, and you didn't even notice it because you're enjoying the process so much. So being as meticulous and planned as you are, what happens when things go wrong? How do you respond in real time, on stage, and just in general in life? Have you ever had a trick go disastrously wrong?
Yes.
Like, did you make someone disappear and they still haven't returned yet?
No, not that bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, there have been times where it's gone wrong. The better you prepare, the less likely it happens. But if I were to compare myself to, for example, a comedian is in charge or in control of many of the variables. Their timing, their delivery, the punchline. Yes, the audience needs to connect with them and relate with them. But for me, I need the audience with me on stage to participate in the experience, and the audience will react and respond to this person's experience with me, and also to them seeing the magic happen. So if I'm not clear with a participant, because they are participating in the experience, and they do something wrong, then that challenges the experience. So there are times,
and it's bound to happen.
It's bound to happen, but that happens less frequently because, again, of that, the good, the bad, the ugly, the process. So over the years, I've learned, like in every audience, especially if you do a corporate event, not everybody is in the audience is there to see the entertainer. They're there for the corporate event.
Yeah.
In that audience, I realized that some people may not be familiar with the art of magic as an entertainment. So they may come in with a perception of what magic is based on something they read in scripture, something that they have from their own understanding. So I'm very clear at the start, in a very conversational way, simple way, easy to digest, that I'm an entertainer. Even my intro that plays before I come on lets them know who I am, lets them know that I'm well-traveled, I perform internationally, and that I'm here to contribute to the evening with good, clean entertainment. So if I involve somebody that doesn't want to participate, they look like they're forced on stage.
Yeah, they don't want to be there.
They don't want to be there. It makes me feel awkward.
Yeah.
The audience picks up on this. So I've come to understand, to look at the audience, to see who's enjoying and who would be good to invite onto stage to participate in the magic.
They're not making eye contact. Not that guy.
Exactly. And you know what I found? I found that those people who initially were apprehensive, when they see this good, clean, uplifting fun happening on stage, they join the journey. They're on board by the middle, the end of the show. And a lot of times I get somebody come up to me to say, I never really experienced magic before. Or I always watched it on TV and I thought it was a camera trick, or people were all actors.
Yeah.
But what I saw today, wow, that was cool, that was fun. And sometimes they'll say things, and this happens more than I thought. They say things like, now I believe in magic.
Yeah.
And I find that wonderful, because for me, yes, it's a form of entertainment, But for me, magic is really an experience. It's a real experience that allows me to spread joy. And if people say they're enjoying it, then that's really the good thing. So there are times where my focus, for some reason, like in the moment, like something happened off stage that's out of my control, and I come on stage and I lost my focus. And what happens there is either I'm able to get around it, or once I just said, oops, wow, that's, I just, what did I say? I said, oops, okay, that didn't work.
Sometimes you just got to be honest.
Yeah, I like that.
And people appreciate that, the authenticity.
Yeah, so like, oh, sorry, that didn't work. And it doesn't happen as much, but I think, it happened once or twice in the last maybe 2 or 3 years.
And as a performer, you're able to shine in those moments as well. That's life,
and again, because when I come on stage, I tell people that this is studied. We're here to have some fun. The magic is with them being part of the show. I don't come across, and even when I do the mind reading magic, I don't say, I can really read your mind and that. No, because I think audiences are intelligent, and for them, this is a form of entertainment. We're here. It's something I've studied. You get to participate in it, and that's it. And the one time where the most recent time where I messed something up, it was interesting because I'm doing the show, we're moving on, but at the back of my mind, I'm like, how can I come back? How can I come back? How can I come back? How can I?
Your redemptive moment in this
and literally, during the show, I came up with an idea that at the end of the show, I went back to that and I made. So for example, it was basically a card that was signed.
Okay.
Now, I don't really do much card magic in my show because I believe, some people like cards, playing cards and stuff like that, but I'll do like maybe one card trick in a full 1 hour show because there's so much of other things that I'd like to share with people. And it was something where people had to choose a card, and I had misheard.
Oh.
I had misheard. And I revealed the card, and they were like, no, it's not that one.
Like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's not the 9 of hearts.
Look again.
It's the 9 of diamonds. And I was like, what? And then at the end of the show, I was like, oh, sorry, I think I messed it up.
Yeah.
And at the end of the show, somebody had left. I think he left the show. I think he needed to use the loo.
Yeah.
And he came back. And as he came back, I was like, you're about to miss the main thing. Would you just join me on stage? And he comes up on stage, and I say, would you just reach into your pocket? And he reached into his pocket, and the card that they had named with the mark on it was literally in his pocket.
Wow.
And I was like,
I still can't wrap my head around how you do this, because I'm going back a few years now. I think we went to Johannesburg together. You did this great event. We were all hanging out, and you did this trick with the cell phone. I think you had the torch on, and you moved the light. And for the rest of the evening, I was like, how is he doing this? Because I'm in front of him. This is my friend. I don't want to ask you how it happens, but do you come up with how does it work in magic? Is there like a playbook? Or is it like, hey, what can I do today? And you work your way around.
So I think, so with anything, there's a foundation. So you've got a cup of coffee in your hand. When it comes to making coffee, there's a foundation. You can make an espresso. You can make an Americano.
I see. Okay.
So there's a few things that are fixed in stone. These are foundations and fundamentals.
Yeah. Pigeons out the hat kind of stuff. Is that like, I'm trying to bring it down to my newbie magic level, or outsider understanding.
Yeah. So, for example, the classic find your card trick.
Right.
I've come to a point where, and again, it's 21 years in this field, where I know the techniques, and I know the type of magic illusions that are out there. Not all, but that are there. So I've got this knowledge base. So when a client comes to me saying, we're launching a new product, is there something you can do with this product?
Okay.
I say, okay, what is this product? This is a glass here. What are the properties of this? What would be great with this?
Okay.
What could I do with this? And then I will brainstorm. I'll look at my existing foundations, fundamentals, principles, and say, can I do something with this? What can I do? If not, can I create something? So I look at my knowledge, and then I've got one or two close friends in this world of magic who I can bounce ideas on. And I will basically say, this is what I have in mind. What do you think? And then we have like a think tank. We brainstorm.
Hey, that's cool, yeah. It's like a magician's council kind of thing. Very Illuminati kind of thing. So okay, so we've mentioned a few times to to the viewers that we sometimes have met at the gym or running in the prom. Fitness for you is a big thing, right? So you're 42, don't look anything near it. Like what's the formula you use? And I think a lot of men have woken up to it in the last few years. Yeah, longevity is important, and figuring out cutting out bad habits and all that stuff. But what's your secret sauce here?
So it comes back to asking myself the question, what is my area of maximum contribution? So when it comes to work, it's who do I want to be on stage? I want to be fit. I want to be energetic. I want to be captivating. Yes, I want to look good. And that ties into my normal,
your sense of self.
Sense of self and sense of style. And we can talk about my thoughts on style somewhere along in this conversation as well. But I had to say, okay, if I want to keep doing what I do, if I want to be good on stage this week, and there's times, Nesan, and I'm very thankful, but there's times when I'm on stage in different provinces multiple times a week. There was a week last year, corporate year end. I had 9 events in 5 or 6 days.
How's that even possible?
You
have like a version of yourself that you've created that you put out there.
Okay, so I think there were 9 events in 6 or 7 days. And ordinarily, I would have said no. But because of where I am with my wellness and longevity, I looked at the schedule and I said, this is doable.
Yeah.
It's doable to the point that I can still deliver maximum value for my clients.
Because that's what it's about, right? You don't want to compromise quality based on output.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I think for me, I don't focus on the socials. I'm trying to get followers. It's always been on my area. So again, we can talk about success and what's your metric.
Yeah.
So for me, it's that audience I'm in front of. Am I giving them something that they will remember? That either they will talk about as part of the event, or my name will come about, that I was there. And from there, the bookings keep coming through. And it's interesting because I was at a family dinner last night, and my wife's cousin, he is fairly young. He's in his 20s. He is a carpenter, and he's now wanting to promote his work. And he was talking to me about going on all these platforms and nothing, I think he said that he hasn't got many leads from social at the moment. And I told him, and I said, from somebody who's looking back and from what I've learned, I would suggest that you make sure every existing client you have, you do such a great job that they go telling people about your job. You give them so much of value that they speak about you and they promote you. And I don't think that quite resonated with him yet, but I think it's starting to. And that's where I'm at. So again, what is the output? So with regards to my work, I want to keep doing this for as long as I enjoy it. So I have to be healthy. I have to take care of myself. Because if I'm not fit, I can't give that 150%.
Yeah. Well, the audience will sense it. I mean, people can pick up energy and joy, and when someone's really loving what they're doing.
And a lot of time people say, we can see your energy on stage. You're doing this because you love it. And that's true. Yes, I'm glad that it pays for my lifestyle, my quality of life, my bills. I'm very thankful. But again, it's that. So again, from a work perspective, the outcome, but also, you asked me earlier, or we spoke about me being happy. Being healthy, fit, sound mind, sound body helps for me to be happy.
Absolutely. It's the foundation.
Yes.
You know, I think once you get moving, literally moving your
Yeah.
body, I think changes everything.
Yeah, so,
and do you do like daily exercises, or is it like, because you're always doing, I think I've seen you do like CrossFit kind of thing.
No.
Right? No, it's not CrossFit.
no.
I apologize.
No. No disrespect to the CrossFit
No,
people out there.
No problem.
But again, for my age, also, I think I need to look at things that are going to be sustainable for me
Yeah.
and not cause injury.
Yeah.
Because again, the type of work I need to be out there
Yeah.
to be able to deliver. If I have, I mean, you saw Kevin Hart recently posted about he is racing an
Tore
NFL
his-
thing, and he's like 44,
Yeah.
and he tore, and his
He's
back.
out, yeah.
I mean, so he can't do what he needs to do
Yeah.
for him needing to do that. So again, I'm very cognizant of this. So
Yeah.
I exercise almost every day, and I've got, a lot of people say they don't have time to exercise. We all have the same time in a day, 24 hours.
Yeah.
For me, what I've done is I've created systems. So, and this is a scientifically proven thing. Willpower is not sustainable. But if you can create an environment that supports the action you want to have, you don't need to have the willpower. So I have an elliptical at home. I've got some weights at home, and I will exercise. So I've got the type of exercise that I want to do. I track myself on my fitness app, and I trick myself. So if I want to exercise, I also watch an episode of a TV series. So I'm exercising.
Yeah.
I've got nice high intensity music playing as well to keep me going, but I'm watching something that I want to watch.
Yeah. And that's such a good point, Mo, because there's like, I mean, you train almost every day, same, but the days you don't want to do it. And that's when you can't lean on motivation or willpower. You lean on discipline, and like you're saying, so important, systems. Because if you build that system, you just know, I'm having a bad day, but I'm going to get into the system so that the outcome is still happening regardless of how I feel.
And the other thing for exercise, I try and make it fun.
Yeah.
So there'll be one workout that might be very tough in the week, but my friends are here. We run once or twice a week. And we don't run now to get a personal best. Because here's something. If I run a 5K and I do a personal best of 25, 26 minutes, I find it takes my body longer to recover
Yeah.
than doing an easier 5K at 35 minutes with my friend,
And you can do it again tomorrow.
where we can talk, we can do that.
Yeah.
So again, what's the outcome? And I think of this thing called minimum effective dose.
Oh, yeah.
Are you familiar with that
Tim
concept?
Ferriss, right?
Yeah, I think
it's a
yeah,
Tim
yeah.
Ferriss thing, yeah.
I think it's been
Oh, Brendan Buchar, one of the two. Yeah.
before, but basically, what's the minimum amount of work that I can do for the impact
Yes.
or the
exactly.
outcome to be worthwhile?
Yeah.
So again, I can do 2 hours of exercise, but I lose out productivity from other things in my day. I lose out that time, and my body is going to take longer to recover. And when my body is recovering and I'm sore, I'm feeling a bit sluggish. I think you made a joke the other day. You told me you're constantly in a state of pain.
Yeah. You just live with it, yeah. Just suck it up, and then one day it's not hurting. I'm like, oh wow,
Yeah.
finally.
Yeah. So I've
Go
come
back.
to I've come to listen to my body.
Yeah.
So again, I don't have all the answers. It's just for me, consistent growth, consistent review, and I bring it back to the journey is the destination, the
Yeah.
process is the point. When I look back at my life, and hopefully one day I can look back at my life, later years, I want to be able to say, I did it. I was happy with how I did it. And if I have to look, if today is the last day I'm here, I want to look back, and every night I have this review. I just go to bed in a state of gratitude. I thank the Almighty, and I think about the day, and I just think about 1 or 2 things that I can be grateful for. And if there's something that that challenge me, I look at, okay, tomorrow, how can I change it? So it's just a state of just gratitude, growth, and review.
And building that persona, not even persona, person.
It
takes work, right?
It's an identity.
Yeah.
And not in the identity of you part of people who drink coffee or not. It's just an identity of who I am.
Yeah.
And a lot of times identity we speak about in terms of like an Indian identity or a religious identity. But I think it's something that is not, it's on a separate, it's incomparable. It's just the identity of who you want to be as a person. So the growth mindset. So again, sleep is important to me. How I spend my time. Now, I can almost guarantee somebody watching this or listening to this is going to be, wow, Mo's so disciplined. Mo has it all together. No, I don't. The reason I can be here and share this with confidence is because I've been doing this for 21 years.
You've also been to the dark places, or the days when you couldn't do it.
Yes, and it's okay. So for example, like I've got this thing. After 9 p.m., no food. It's a simple rule. But last night...
I'm impressed that you're awake after 9 p.m. I just collapsed now.
Hey?
I just collapsed now.
I wish I could go to bed at 9:30 and people to say 5 a.m. club.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that. Yeah. And in fact, I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying. But my eyes close at midnight. It's just my clock. My eyes close at midnight.
Yeah. And if you know that, you lean into it and you work your life around it. Yeah.
Yes. So, I monitor my sleep. I do what I have to do. And like the no food from 9 o'clock actually helps my body because my body's not having to digest food while I'm trying to sleep. But last night, we had a birthday in the family, so we went out for dinner.
I was always the ones, huh? The
we
family
went out for dinner.
catch you.
Yeah, and after 9 o'clock, the ice cream comes out. I had to make a decision.
Yeah.
Do I just say, no, that's my rule, or say, hey, this is a special occasion, it's okay. So last night I said, I'm going to have the ice cream. Yeah. I battled with the sleep a little bit.
So that's interesting. We've covered so many topics today, but I'm quite. What's your relationship with food? Like, I mean, guys you and me, we try and stay fit, and it's like a love-hate thing. Cause
so let me start off by saying that my wife is an exceptional chef.
Oh, there we go. Good.
So I love food.
Yeah.
But again, I have to ask myself. So wait, let's come back here. I was talking about. People might say Mo has it all together.
Yeah.
No, I don't have it all together. Let me tell you where I don't have it all together. I've got a sweet tooth. Sweet tooth.
You and me both, man. You and me both.
Chocolates there, And coffee with milk is, I get pimples.
Yeah.
I can't have it, but I love it. And when I have it, the pimple comes up.
Yep. And you knew, but it was worth it sometimes.
I knew, it is sometimes. So again, whether you're listening to this or watching this, I'm now thinking about somebody watching this. And the thing is, we don't have all the answers. You might be looking at us here. Somebody might be looking at you, Nesan, saying, look how confident Nesan is, how he's charismatic on this podcast. Look at Mo, he has all the answers. No, nobody has all the answers. I don't have all the answers. But it's the thing of just being in that growth mindset. And let me just... I just want to see if I can be a bit more vulnerable. I want to ask myself, like, what's the biggest challenge? So, not many people know this, but for the last year and a half, I've been working on my new project. Early in the conversation, you spoke about how people want it now, want the validation. We alluded to that dopamine hit. I've been working on a project for the last 1.5 years. And I have not shared any information about the project on social media.
That must be the hardest thing in the world to do. Like 1.5 years to say, no, I'm not going to keep it in drafts. Like, not put it out. But that's self-control? Or is it discipline? Or is it the perfecting of what it is?
It's a few things. It's a few things because, again, in understanding the process is the point and the journey is the destination, and being focused on the work, you're not attached to the glory and wanting the validation.
That's it, right? Yeah.
So the reason I can tell you this now is because we wrapped recently. Everything is done.
Wow.
As part of this project, now think about this. Married, recently married, working regularly, traveling across the country, globally, as an MC and entertainer. I opened my own production company. My friend and I co-wrote a show. I had to create the magic with him. Some of it is original, like as in you've never seen this before. But every little bit about the show, we wrote to make it unique.
Yeah.
So for example, when I say some of it is unique, you might look at a card trick and you might say, it's a card trick. So some people might say, okay, we've seen card tricks before. But the concept for the show, truly unique. The style of the show, I showed you the trailer.
Yeah.
I should be
so different. So fresh.
And that's what we wanted.
Yeah.
Because when we looked at social media magic, magic that's been done on social media, the way the algorithm works, and
It's like magic in itself, actually.
so when you're creating content for a platform,
Yeah.
you have to create content that the algorithm will promote. So there's a few things. So for example, have you seen those videos on Facebook where they'll start something and they'll keep dragging on,
What's the
keeping
worst,
you,
You're 5 minutes in and like nothing's happening.
nothing's happening, and then you'll see 5 million views.
Yeah.
And then you'll be like, people comment, oh man, what a
It's
waste
so
of my
long.
time. There, you stupid, that. But what you don't understand,
Yeah.
or what the masses don't understand, is the video was specifically created, and I find that very
By
disrespectful,
design, yeah.
to keep you,
Yeah.
and they don't care if you give a harsh comment. Because you put a comment, the algorithm saying,
Absolutely.
people watched this to the end, people commented,
More.
shared with more people.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the one type. The other type is that shock, instant short form content where, hey, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
There we go. There, and
Guys won't believe this. kind of
yes,
thing,
there,
yeah.
where they hype it up.
Yeah.
And the magic in the last few years on social media, and again, to each their own lane. But for me, I've seen it move to the algorithm or a means. So what I've seen people present magic and expose it.
Okay.
So they'll show you a trick and say, I'm going to show you how this works. So now, because you want to see how it works,
You wait.
you wait.
Yeah. And it's again hacking the algorithm, right?
Hacking the algorithm.
Okay, yeah.
Now, for me, I know that people know there's a way it's done. When I come on stage, I say it's the art of magic. We're here to have some fun. And for me, I have a conscious intention that it's the connection. It's not just the illusion or the technique.
And
it's
honoring the
experience.
craft, right? You seem like you're quite close to the
Yes.
craft.
So for me, it's honoring the craft. And that was one of the key reasons for my new project. I wanted to honor the craft and create magic and a performance and a show that was in alignment with how I see the craft.
Ah. So I mean, like, before we wrap this up, it's been an incredible hour with you. Is this like your magnum opus, your great work so far?
I think to date, this is probably the best
Wow.
contribution I've made.
That's saying something. Cause
Yeah, no, it's a year and a half of work. I mean,
Yeah.
we co-wrote the show, we came up with the ideas, and let me tell you, certain pieces in the show is packed with incredible magic. The structure, everything about it. I mean, I'm biased on it.
Yeah.
I give it a year and a half of my life. But in addition to that, in terms of making sure it was a project that when people watch at home, they can say, hey, there's not a camera trick.
Yeah.
That's the legit thing. People are there watching it. And even when we spoke about social media magic, you can see now that there's some people who use actors in the thing. And you see the comments, come
Could
on.
just see it, yeah.
But for them, it's just to hack the algorithm. So for me, I want to make sure that when somebody watches this at home, they get the feeling as if they were there in the studio or in the theater where the show is recorded. I mean, my previous show is currently streaming on Showmax, so you can check that out on Showmax, so your viewers can check it out. It's called Mo Magic Live. That was the last one I did. It's there at the moment. You can see that experience, that what people are seeing is the real thing. 200 people sitting in a theater experiencing a show. So yeah, for me, it's not just the quick hits. It's about the work. So much so that I didn't just work on writing and performing and practicing the magic to create an overall original product and project. I opened my own production company. Mm-hmm. So I was involved in everything from hiring the gear, hiring the crew, involved in the edit process, the venue, setting up the venues, the location permits. That took a lot of work, a year and a half of my life that only my closest family and friends know about. But for me, it was about the outcome. And now, my partner and I, we have a production company. We know about producing. We know about putting together a big project.
And that's incredibly exciting. So you're teasing us about this. When's it going to be? When's it going to land? How do the viewers get a hold of it? How do we watch it? What's the plan?
Well, the show is done.
Yeah.
And
so it's a show.
It's a.
We're still calling it project. We can do that.
We call it a project. Let's just say it's a few episodes.
Okay.
Yeah. A few episodes of a show that I'm hoping viewers will be able to stream in a few months' time. But for now, connect with me on my socials, and I will share that. I will share that first. The magic from that particular project is now going into my new live show. So I'll be touring. I'll be starting off in Durban with a stage show. It's called Mo Magic Stage of Wonders Live.
I was going to suggest like Mo Magic, Mo Problems and stuff, but that's too much of a 90s reference, right? I love it. Stage of Wonders.
Yeah.
So can people expect something totally different from your previous stuff?
Parts, similar format for the live show, but there's a lot of differences, and it's...
I'm sure people can see this, but you want to say it, but you don't want to say it. Yeah, so I think we'll wait for the show.
Yeah, it's just having fun, and it's just about delivering maximum value. It's about the craft, the impact I want to get. It's about the craft. It's about the impact I want to deliver, and the feeling I want people to have. What is the experience? And that's what I think is really important in whatever you do. I'm an entertainer. I'm a MC. Somebody watching this might be into IT. They might be in photography. They might be in something completely unrelated. But I think if I were to end with what I think somebody could take away from this conversation is, it doesn't matter where you are, what you've been through. If you can be open to experiencing a better quality of life, working on yourself, and as I said, for me, my inner reality creates my external reality. So the happiness is an inside job. If you can be okay, and being okay works a lot with growing your emotional well-being, your spiritual well-being, I think, we all have a lot to offer. And where I'm at is a question I regularly ask myself. Who do I want to be? So who do I want to be as a husband? Who do I want to be as an entertainer? Who do I want to be as a friend? And it's not something that, I have all the answers to, but it's just something that I aspire to, and I just want to be the best version of myself. And I totally understand that some days I can't be the best version of a friend because I'm committed to something at work and I can't be there for a friend. But it's a continuous process. It's just continuous growth.
I think you've so beautifully summed it up in that you don't have all the answers, but asking the question in and of itself is kind of the answer, because you're positioning yourself to say, how do I get better at this? How do I get better at that? How can I be a better husband, a better friend, a better performer. And I think that's spectacular. So for the last hour, I think it's been much more than magic, but it's been magical.
Has it been an
It's
hour?
been an education. I think it's
my
been,
word.
oh wow, yeah. And we could keep going actually. That's what, our viewers probably don't see it. We still got so much energy out here right now. And I think it's been such an education in terms of not just people who are looking at saying, hey, how can I improve this area? But like you said, it can apply to anyone. These principles that you put into your life, the mindset, the focus on real, authentic happiness, not social media happiness. I think that there's some real gems that you've shared out here, Mo, and it's been an absolute honor to be chatting to you today. I've learned so much more about you as a friend, and I can't wait to see what's up next,
Thank you for the opportunity. And I think to those watching, to those listening, I think you need to applaud yourself, because you sitting here listening and watching to this shows that you have the inclination or the intention or that mindset of growth. And I think you need to give yourself more credit than you already do.
Excellent. Guys, thank you so much. That was the Nesan Part, the podcast with the legendary Mo Magic. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I hear my kids say this all the time, so I'm just going to repeat it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll see you guys again soon.